Hello, guys, and welcome to a shortened One United podcast tonight. I'm joined by James.
Hello.
Bit weird to this way around, but yeah. So let's crack on. I wanted to do this one tonight purely because we've heard some news yesterday. Obviously, it got brought out yesterday, but it's been progressing into today, along with the news that Spurs are most likely to get Bale as well, not just a Reguilon deal. So to start off with everything, James, what do you think of us now losing out on a target that we thought was almost done?
Given the details that have come to light, I think I'm not that annoyed about it. It's obvious you don't want to miss out on a good player, and Reguillon's an absolute upgrade on what we've got. Bale's still a 50-50, so I'll get into that later. But just on Reguillon alone, I think I was gutted to miss out on him, and then I realised that the buyback clause that Madrid were insistent on putting in is only £37 million.
Yeah.
Now, you're in a lose-lose situation here. If you're a club like United, I think Spurs can get away with it because it's just seen as a long-term loan for them.
Yeah.
But for a team like us, if we're going to sign a player for 27 million, which for some reason we weren't willing to do anyway. If you're going to sign someone for 27 million, and then they either play really well and you get good performances out of them, but Madrid buy him straight back, or he plays horrendously and you've wasted 27 million. So from a club point of view and a financial point of view, I can see why the club didn't go for it, just because it's sort of a kick in the teeth for them as well, because United are trying to big themselves as a club that is still massive, and they don't want to be giving these sort of clauses out to Madrid, because that just sort of accepts that you're the smaller club by doing that, don't you? Really, you're saying, if you do want him back, then there's the option. But the Bale one, again, I'm 50-50. The risk is that he was going to be another Alexis Sanchez, where he'd turn up just looking for a last pay packet, really, and he doesn't really give it as all. I'd like to see him at Tottenham. I'm excited if that transfer goes through, because it's a win-win for me, because either you get to see the best Bale that there ever was again at Spurs, either like Spurs reignite his career, or Spurs spend 300 grand a week, which they can't really afford, on a massive flop and then aren't able to get rid of him. So, win-win. So I'm not too annoyed about that, but the Reguilon deal, I'm a bit annoyed at, yeah.
I'd say the frustration isn't with the fact that we haven't got the deal done. It's with the fact that we were haggling over 30 million, and then Spurs have just gone and paid it up front. And this is a club that we know. I mean, I guess most people are watching the documentary, the All or Nothing. We all know they're in a bit of a financial, trouble situation, really, as most clubs are. But they seem to be the ones that are willing to fork out the money for him, and then potentially to pay all of Bale's wages if they can. If they can do that, they have to kind of break their wage structure a little bit to do that. But I think they'd be more than willing to do it. And the whole buyback thing, I can understand why we haven't gone for him in that sense. But there was two options on the table from what I can read. There was two options on the table. They either have a buyback clause, or both, obviously, but they either have a buyback clause of so-and-so million, or they have first refusal on if the club were to sell him. Now, the first refusal thing, I know the whole ego thing from United. We don't get bullied in deals, blah, blah, blah. The fact of the matter is that we are not the best team in the world at the moment. We cannot come in with that attitude. If we want a player and he's good enough, we have to go and get him. We have to do whatever it takes to get him. Now, not accepting the buyback clause if Real Madrid just want him when they want him, that's fair enough. But to turn down the chance of someone having first refusal, I believe Man City have first refusal on Jadon Sancho. So is it really that bad of a deal for us? Because that just means that whatever price we were selling for, other clubs just, Real Madrid just have to match it. So at the end of the day, and if we want to sell him, is he really good enough anyway? So Real Madrid probably won't buy him back anyway. So
I think the problem with this deal was as well. It's obvious that Reguillon doesn't want to leave Real Madrid. He's got his heart. That's why he was so happy to go to Spurs. I think because that clause is in there. He wants to be Real Madrid's left back going forward. So I think if United did pull off the deal, I don't think his heart would ever really be in the right place anyway. So, but yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. It's annoying that they've haggled over a clause or two.
I'm going to mention something a little bit different now. Okay, so we mentioned the Bale, we mentioned the Reguilon deal. Two things I want to bring up, and obviously this is a shortened version, so it won't be very long. The first one is the whole idea that we're saving all the money for Jadon Sancho. I understand that, but why are we haggling when we're obviously not spending the money on Reguilon? Don't want to spend money on him. That's 20 million. Don't want to spend the money on Thiago. That's 30 million euros. Those were the two. We're still talking about putting a bid in for Thiago. So those were the two. That's a combined like 50 million euros. So if we're going to do that, then where was the finance going to come for Sancho in the first place? And also, if we're not spending that money, why isn't the Sancho deal getting done quicker? I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. The club seems so incompetent and so inept at doing deals. And it goes back to the whole Woodward thing. Is he really smart enough to do the deals? We saw with Fernandes, he tried to haggle the price down. The price ended up higher than the original fee that they asked for, obviously including add-ons. So, and with the Sanchez deal, we offered him almost 500k a week. Obviously, that's pre-tax, I believe. So we're offering stupid deals, or we're not offering the right deals in the first place. So how can we trust the board and trust these owners who clearly don't want to spend any of their own money? They've taken over £1 billion out of the club. Fans are losing their shit now because they're really starting to get to a stage where they're now fed up. And I understand, but that energy has to be kept. Even if Sancho is bought, that energy has to be kept, because I know Twitter accounts that go, oh, the Glazers are horrible. They're, despicable owners. We signed Sancho and they go, oh my God, everything's fantastic again. We can't forget that they have completely rinsed our club of all of its money to get their own net worth up. We are the only club in the Premier League that pays its owners dividends. No one else does. Not even Liverpool, and their owners are pretty pesky as well. So, yeah.
I think the thing that confuses me as well is the Glazers must know if this Sancho deal gets pulled off, there will be at least half the fan base that suddenly just forget about what horrendous owners they are. So surely it makes sense for them if they want to carry on with this club long term, like it seems that they want to do. Surely the Sancho deal works for them, because you want the supporters to be backing you. Like we've seen what's happened to Ed Woodward in the past, with fans coming to his house. All it's going to take to get half of these flip-flop fans off your case is just buying Sancho. I would say it's that easy. It's obviously not that easy buying a player, but yeah, it's just a proper strange one. Like you say, we spend big on deals that don't make sense, and we just seem to shy away from deals that do make sense.
The club at the moment is a mess, and that's from. I know people will say the playing side of things is improving, and there's signs that it is, okay? But is it really improving if everyone else is strengthening? We're not. Spurs at the moment, although they finished 6th, I think they did this year, they are direct rivals, and they're spending more money than us. And Daniel Levy is known as an owner that doesn't go and spend money unless he has to.
Bearing in mind they've just spent £1 billion on a stadium as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, but our owners are willing to take that out of the club. I think that in the last 5 years, I think it is £79 million in dividends gone out of the club. That's basically, the start of a deal for a really top player. You mentioned about the investment for the future and whether the fans will get on their backs. I'm going to counter that with they don't care about anything else unless it makes financial sense for them. And if this deal doesn't make financial sense, if they're not going to make the money back in shirt sales within a year, if they're not going to make the money back through selling him in the future, And if they're not going to make the money back through, not just shirts, but other merch and encouraging people to come to Old Trafford, they might up the ticket prices when, we all return. So if it doesn't make any sense for them to do it, they won't do it. I despise the Glazers. They're horrible people, but they are financial people, and they will not do anything unless it makes financial sense, aka not spending X amount of money on, Thiago. Don't spend 30 million euros on Thiago, which to me is a deal that makes complete sense to do, but they don't want to do that. The Sanchez deal was essentially, we were paying him what we would have paid in a transfer fee, I think. They thought, this guy's probably worth like 60, 70 million at least. And he was I think he was 28 or 29 at the time when we bought him. So he was worth that money. So to them, an investment was paying him high wages to get him to come to the club. In saying that, people, if they respond to this video, fair enough. If they don't, if they respond with, I am defending the Glazers, I am not. I'm in the same boat as every other United fan. But I also understand why they're doing it, because at the end of the day, they are horrible people, but they are financial people. So they will make the deal which makes best financial sense for them. And, if the deal won't increase their net worth or increase the amount of money in their bank accounts, they won't do it. So, yeah, if this Sancho deal doesn't get done, there will be riots. And we saw last year with the fans singing how Ed Woodward's going to die in the stadium. And I know people grin, and I know it's not very nice to see that, to be honest. You never wish someone to die. But at the same time, it will happen again. The whole thing about them going to his house, it will happen again. This, to the Glazers, is a business. This, to us, is life. I know this sounds so over the top, but it is, because at the end of the day, a football club stays with you for life. If you switch football clubs, you're just not a football fan in the first place. So a football club sticks with you for life, and you stick with it. So, regardless of what we think, they'll do what they want to do. And thanks, John. I appreciate that. Yeah, you can say I'm defending the Glazers all you want, but I can assure you that I am not one of those people, as you've probably seen if you've watched all the previous episodes. I've had quite a lot of rants against them. But yeah, this is just a sticky situation for us fans, because you want to stick with the club. I want to stick with the club, but not with these owners, because they're making us all depressed. They really are making us all, fair enough, we have stuff to talk about, but I'd rather have a player than have all that stuff to talk about. It's just, we're turning into Arsenal. All we do is complain about the club. We don't talk about positives because there are so few. And we have a net spend this year of 30 million. 30 million. Leeds, I think, have a net spend of about 70 this year. Plus, we're going to bring in another £30 million player in the next few days as well. So
the thing is, as well, if we don't get signing players, Pogba will leave. That's the thing you've got to think as well. Pogba's willing to extend his contract, given that we show some sort of ambition. And Donny van der Beek, as good as he is, to build on a season where you got 66 points by just bringing in Van der Beek, that's not ambition at all. No. City were the top scorers in the league last year. First thing they did was sign Ferran Torres, another attacker,
and Nathan Ake, a defender.
Nathan Ake.
50 million on a player. Good player, but world class? I don't think so. And they're willing to fork out 50 million on him. And we're haggling over, the point I made earlier was Spurs got the deal for Reguilon. It is essentially done, the deal. We were willing to offer 23 million euros. Spurs went in with a bid straight away, 30 million euros. Accepted the buyback clauses, which is their decision. But I still think Real Madrid would have accepted the offer if they had upped it to like 32 million euros and first refusal. So they were willing to get the deal done. We're not. They're going to get Bale, who will not fly to Tottenham because he loves the club. I understand why you're saying that he might not love United, which is fair enough. But I think he just wants a way out of Real Madrid at the moment because they're a complete mess of a club. And they have been nasty, doesn't even begin to describe what they've been to him. He has done so much for them. He essentially won them a Champions League final. And they're being, horrible to him. And, Real Madrid fans have said before they are the worst in the world because they boo everyone. I remember them booing Ronaldo when he didn't score in one of the games they played a couple of years ago. So, I mean, it baffles me. It really does. So,
I mean,
carry on.
You want to talk about ambition? You just got to look at Chelsea, haven't you? That's a club that finished level on points with us. We United fans thought it was a good season. I don't know how Chelsea fans thought about their season, but I assume they didn't think it was a bad one by any means. And then, I get that they've got that money to spend because they haven't made any signings in the last few windows, but the money's there for them and they've spent it. The money is there for us. We know that. We're a massive club, but we're just not spending it. And that just shows the difference. When Chelsea are in the title challenge this year and we're not, we'll really, hopefully the owners really see what's actually going on.
Well, I'm not the only one that knows this. And believes it in a way. I wasn't really sure about getting top four. And there's one reason behind it, and people are you can disagree with it, and that's fair enough. In fact, I welcome it. Disagree with it. I want to see what, we can have a debate, a discussion. Us finishing in the top four meant that we were going to spend less money. That's how it was, because the Glazers need the top four money. That's all they want, the Champions League money. They get the Champions League money, they can walk away, they're happy. If we didn't finish in the top four, they want that money so badly because it is I think it's about 70 million you get in total. If you get to the Champions League final, you get that alone. So they got that much money from getting the Champions League. That was the main aim. And now they're thinking, we've got the money, don't need to spend anything. If we don't get Champions League next year, we'll just go on a spending spree and we'll get back in the Champions League the year after. It's all purely to get top four. I remember, so I spoke to you on message earlier about Gary Neville. He made a comment when Ollie first started. I remember he was at Cardiff City Stadium. I can't remember who we were playing. I think it was Everton that we just played. We lost that 4-0 game. I remember after that he had a massive rant, and he said the fans will turn on the club and on the owners before they turn on the manager. What's happening now? The fans are turning on the owners. They're turning on on Woodward and the board. They're not turning on the manager.
Yeah, I've never seen so much support for Ole.
He's a club legend. They hired the wrong person if they want a fall guy. Not going to happen. Honestly, they hired the wrong person because he's known as a club legend. So the fans will not turn on him. They will turn on the owners. So the owners have got one option. Buy Sancho, or pretty much as the fans are saying on Twitter, buy Sancho or else, because the fans will turn. There'll be riots. I know it's not right, not morally right, but the fans will smash the stadium up. They will. There will be riots. They'll be throwing flares at the ground and stuff. So the owners have got an option: increase their net worth, or just cut a year's payoff. It's not much money. You can't buy your wife a diamond ring, Joel Glazer, you bold moron. You can't buy your wife a diamond ring and a new Ferrari. So what? Pay the money for the player, keep the fans happy for a little bit, and also sort the club out that's riddled with debt, because we know that they've got a massive amount of money, the Glazers. They've got, according to their net worth, over £4 billion. They obviously own Tampa Bay as well. So they're willing to fork out money to get Tom Brady to play there. Where's the money for us?
Well, have you seen that something came out the other day that I saw on Twitter, that United commercially bring in about double the amount that Tampa Bay Buccaneers have brought in the last 3 or 4 years? and yet the average amount that the Glazers spend per year on both teams, I think Tampa Bay is about 10 million higher than United is. So
you know that they like
just shows where their priorities. Yeah,
they like American football. They don't like our football, as evidence to why they're American owners and they're stingy as hell, because that's what American owners are like. It's the sad facts. So, yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure there's a hell of a lot we can talk about. And also,
there's something to talk about.
Thoughts on Arsenal? Are they a threat? Yes. Now they are. Because they've shown ambition. Finally. So I know this is talked about as a new signing. Aubameyang, who is essentially a big signing. He's probably the biggest signing of the summer for the club. We saw Gabriel in the first game that he played. Fantastic. Did really well. Obviously got Ceballos back. They're looking at potentially getting Aouar as well, which I think, to be honest, would complete a midfield to get top four. Their attacking force is unbelievable, to be fair. I mean, when Lacazette's on the bench, some weeks not, you've got a really good side. And also, he's bred from Guardiola, so he knows what he's doing. So, yeah, in terms of a threat, I think at the moment, Everton are a threat to United as well.
See, I think the problem with Everton could be in a year, but I don't think they will be this year. I think Alan and James Rodriguez are both very big players to sort of mould into a team full of relatively small players. The biggest player in that team before then was Richarlison. He's not a big player, is he? Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, Arsenal, I think they have the potential to finish above us 100%. Whether they do or not, they're serial bottlers. They lose games they shouldn't, and they win games that they shouldn't. So they're a difficult one to call. But it just depends on what Arsenal turns up week in, week out. I think now that Pepe's had a season to get ready as well, he was brilliant at the end of the last season. Well, in spells, not consistently, but he's shown that he can be a quality player.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of good youth coming through as well. They've got Nketiah and Willock in the middle. That's his name. Saka obviously as well. So, if things stay the same, if Arsenal get either Partey or Aouar that they're after, then
that'll be a big league if we don't start well.
Yeah, if we make no more signings and they sign a central midfielder, then providing their defence doesn't let them down, they will finish above us.
My prediction, just if anyone cares, which is if you don't, fair enough.
John probably does. John does. It's fine.
My prediction for this year is that if we don't sign anyone, aka we have to sign not just Sancho, we have to sign two players. I think we need to sign a defensive midfielder 100% because at the moment Matic can't play like 50 games a season, just can't do it. Hasn't got the legs. And a winger, obviously Sancho is to me a must. You have to because he's the only one that can improve that front line. Obviously, having Dan James as a backup. I mean, a backup is fine for Dan James, but a backup player to come on in the Champions League, or I think you're all right. So I think if we don't sign any more players as of now, I think 7th place finish. Spurs will finish above us. I genuinely think Spurs will finish above us. Wolves are signing players as well. They're willing to push for top 6. Everton, although you say they're not a direct threat at the moment, they might not be, but they'll still pick up points probably off us. And also, they've got a world-class manager now, which they didn't have before. So, in regards to that, we'll finish below the likes of Spurs and Arsenal, obviously Liverpool, City, Chelsea. We're looking at best 6th and probably round of 32 Champions League. Off you go. That's probably what it's going to be if we don't sign any players.
Just want to add something as well because I can see that there's some big marks above club legend. Just a little rant that Arteta is absolutely not an Arsenal club legend. I don't know where Arsenal fans have got that idea from. He's an Everton legend that used Arsenal as a retirement home. That's what he did. He moved to Arsenal in his late 30s, played a couple of seasons there at most, didn't really get much game time at all, and then just retired. So club legend. If that's your club legend, if I'm Thierry Henry and you're calling Arteta a club legend,
be furious.
I'd be furious that there's only one statue of me at Emirates.
Yeah,
it should be called the Thierry Henry Arena. If Mikel Arteta is a club legend, he guided them to what, 2 FA Cups? Cool, blimey.
I only call them club legend because they have to be competitive with United, who actually, by the way, have a club legend in the side, because we didn't win the little FA Cup with him. We won the Champions League with him. So we won the treble with him. So, if that's Arsenal's definition of a club legend, then that's like calling Gareth Barry an Everton legend. Or Gareth Barry a West Brom legend.
Here's a talking point then. If Solskjaer didn't score the Champions League winning goal, would he be a legend at United? Because in that team, he was the 4th choice striker.
Yeah, but he was always known for coming on and scoring goals. I'm not sure he would be as well recognised, but I think loosely defining the word legend, if he didn't score, yes, he probably would still be close to that bracket because he spent so long at the club, gave us so much service, and at the end of the day, did win trophies with us. So I guess you could put him within that bracket if he didn't score the goal, but he did. So regardless of that, he is a club legend.
So I think that's fair enough. I think without that goal, he'd be a cult hero rather than a legend. Yeah. One of those players that everyone loves, but not quite.
Not enough. Sure.
But we've got another comment from John, just supplying us all our content. It's fine. We'll give you.
We'll roll with it.
We'll give you all £0 that this video makes as commission. What do you think of that then?
For United, the current combined 11.
Last season's top 6.
Last season top 6. Sorry, yeah. I didn't read that properly. Last season top 6. Oh my. Okay.
So what? Liverpool, City, United, Chelsea, Spurs, and Arsenal didn't finish 6th, did they?
No.
I think Wolves finished 6th, but they didn't get into the Europa League because Arsenal won the FA Cup.
No, Spurs finished 6th. Wolves finished 7th, didn't they? I don't know. Right, I'm just gonna have a crack at what I can think of.
Right, so, he's now saying don't include Liverpool or City players because there's no point, which is fair enough because it'd just be a Liverpool and City team. So are we including Wolves or Arsenal then? Oh, yeah. Leicester. That was the other team.
Oh, yeah, Leicester.
How did we forget about
that? So it's going to be, it's not going to be... Arsenal didn't finish... Yeah,
so it's United, Chelsea, Leicester and Spurs.
Yeah.
So goalkeeper, definitely not Kepa and definitely not De
Gea. Yeah, can't be.
What?
You know what? Take a punt here. Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah, say on his day.
Mistakes, but was, to be honest, a pretty good keeper overall. Didn't make that many mistakes.
Premier League winner.
Yeah.
Right back.
Back line. Oh my God, that's a tough one. So
there's a shout for Ricardo Pereira.
Yeah, but he was injured too much of the season, I think. That's Soyuncu, definitely a centre half. Has to be.
Yeah.
He was, a rock.
I'd say it's between. Azpilicueta played right back last year, didn't he? I'd say it's between Wan-Bissaka and Azpilicueta.
Yeah, I'll go with Wan-Bissaka for that one. I think this is purely because defensively he was pretty sound last year. Didn't really get on. Was one of the more solid players in our team. That's what I'll say. I think. Yeah. So, as another centre half, who would you go for?
Don't know. Spurs weren't great defensively last year, were they? Chelsea definitely weren't. I don't want to put Maguire or Lindelof in there.
No chance. So
I'm not putting Johnny Evans in there either. That's just pure shame for a United fan.
Well, we're left with no one then.
I think just for how good he has been, I'd put Alderweireld forward.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Right, left back is a is a problem area.
So you're saying using
Definitely.
current registered players, so you could use Chilwell. Well, you could have done anyway. He was at Leicester, so I'd put Chilwell in there.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, Spurs
Yeah.
like Ben Davies. He's just shocking.
As defensive midfielder, I guess we'll go with just a regular 4-2-3-1 as everyone does. I mean, you can get formations as much as you want, but okay, as a DM, right? That's a interesting.
So I'm going to put Ndidi as a firm choice.
Okay. Yeah.
Between Kante and Kovacic, I'd say.
What?
Well, between Kante, Kovacic, or Pogba.
Oh my god, that's tough because Pogba missed so much of the season.
Hmm.
I think it's harsh to put. Yeah, you know what? Although he has been criticised, Kovacic was pretty solid for Chelsea last year.
He ran the show against us in the FA Cup, didn't he?
So in front of them has to be Fernandes.
Has to be. No debating. John, I know you're screaming Mason Mount right now, but it's not happening. Fernandes is going in.
maybe this year.
Right wing.
Right wing. Okay. Right.
So it's either Greenwood, Willian, Bergwijn.
I'm going to make a shout quickly. I'm going to make a shout for left wing. Christian Pulisic.
Based on last season, it's between him and Rashford, isn't it?
Yeah, and not a chance I'm putting Rashford in there. Sorry, missed a lot of the season injured, and when he came back, not really great.
Yeah, I suppose.
As the main striker, Vardy.
Yeah.
Scorer in the Premier League, I think.
Fair enough.
And as a right winger, Son. Put Son there. It's either him or switch him over with what's his name? Left wing. Yeah. So
so would you have Vardy instead of Kane then?
Yeah. Based on last season, yes.
Fair enough.
I think based on other seasons, maybe not, but based on last season, I think it has to be top scorer. And
I think that Havertz can play right wing, can't he? That could be a good show.
Right wing, but also Havertz played a crossfield ball in the game against Brighton, which almost hit someone that wasn't even in the ground. So I'm not going to give him that accolade now. And he also said after the game he was completely out on his feet because the Premier League is such a tough league. So, in terms of maybe at the end of the year, I'd class him as that, but not now. I
think maybe, yeah. I don't think you can sort of ignore what he did last season. I think, what is he, the youngest ever player to score 50 Bundesliga goals or something like that, wasn't he? And he did it as a midfielder.
Yeah, but in terms of, I'm only saying no because he's not proven in the Premier. Right. That's the reason I'm saying no. And he might have a fantastic season, he might not. So we've seen, you saw Depay when he joined United, top scorer in the Eredivisie, scored 25 goals from left wing, came to United, absolutely shite. So, yeah. In regards to that, I wouldn't put him in there yet, but maybe give it 6 months or a year and watch that space and see whether he's there after that.
He's definitely not going in ahead of Fernandes anyway.
No, neither's Mount for that matter. But I know people will argue that Mason Mount is a good player, and he is a good player, and he will get better. But last season, was he anything on Fernandes or Fernandes as you call him? No, he wasn't. And it's all right for Mo Salah to score a hat-trick with 2 penalties in it. But when Fernandes scores penalties, we're labelled as Penchester. So
fair enough. Have you got anything else you want to talk about, or we're going to end it there?
I think we'll end it there. And, guys, if you watch this, we'd appreciate your comments. Give us some stuff to talk about. Give us some stuff to debate. And, we'll have some interesting, hopefully, future podcasts. subscribe, like the
Well,
video.
we've got one tomorrow, haven't we? Tomorrow, 6 o'clock.
On tomorrow, United Henry coming on. It should be an interesting one. It's a bit of a twist, that one, from what we've spoken about. It's going to have a little bit of a twist to it, so you'll want to tune in for it.
Not really about United, is it? So I think it's one that
it's more about the Twitterverse.
Yeah,
we call it. So tune in for that. Get excited for it because it should be a really good one. And like, subscribe, comment, and give us your views because we'd love to hear them.
Is that it?
Yeah. From us, it's goodbye. We'll see you tomorrow.